I want to talk to you today about how to work smarter than 99% of entrepreneurs so that you can achieve the success, the result that you're after faster, easier. You can do the higher leverage things and basically just get more output for the input that you put in, obviously while enjoying the work and all that kind of stuff. As far as why I feel qualified to talk about this, about a month and a half ago, I left a marketing agency that I scaled from 0 to 30K a month. Nothing crazy in terms of business numbers, but I know what it's like to work 12 hours a day and be in incredible shape and perform at my highest level. I left that business for reasons unrelated, and now I'm kind of all in on helping entrepreneurs, high performers get more work done, do it better, do it faster, all that kind of stuff. And so these are the kind of strategies that I've learned. I just want to get right into it and talk about it. So here it is, how to work smarter than 99% of entrepreneurs scientifically. So listen, I know where you're at. I've been in your shoes before. I've put in 12-hour days, taking client calls, having to jump on, discos, demos, pitching new people, having to fulfill for clients that you've got, whatever it is that you're spending your time on. Trust me, I've done it before. And so I know what it's like to feel your health, your mental performance slip away for the sake of growing your business. But here's the thing. The biggest entrepreneurs understand that your business is a reflection of you. Your health, your mental performance, how you show up every day, those things play a massive role in the success of whatever that you're doing. So everyone's looking for the hack to go to 100, 500, a million a month, right? But we all forget that when you are the business, sometimes the highest leverage thing to improve the business is to improve you. And I don't just mean getting in better shape, getting a six pack. I also mean just having next level mental performance, treating your performance and your health like an elite athlete. Because when you're performing at a higher level, so will the business. It's just a natural ROI. So let's talk about from that perspective, where do we start if we're trying to perform at a higher level? Very simply, I look at performing at a high level in two ways, right? It's doing the right thing and then doing it consistently. The thing is, especially with, high performance, right? It doesn't matter if you lock in one time a week, you wake up early, you do it right once a week, right? That's not where you're going to see the most gains. It's to truly see a result, you have to do it day after day. So this is what I like to call the day one rule. Before we even determine what the right things to do, what the right specific actions are, we got to know that every single day is day one. It always starts over the next day, right? Every single day, just like your work, it resets, right? If you were working at McDonald's, for example, right? You're flipping burgers. You did great work today. Awesome. You still have to show up tomorrow. You still got to flip patties tomorrow. And it's the same no matter what business you're in, right? It doesn't matter if you had a great day yesterday. The work you did from yesterday might have been great. You might have gotten a ton done. I hope you did. But you still got to do it again today. That's the reality of high performance, right? It always starts over again tomorrow. You may have done a great sleep routine or maximize your focus or done some special biohacking thing. Awesome. You get to do it again today. You'll never actually be able to perform at an elite level unless you understand this rule that it's consistency is the multiplier. Doing it every day is what actually gets you the result. So just keep that in mind. It's always, always, always day one. So once you get that very fundamental thing out of the way, I want to get rid of this myth, right? It's what I call the feel good myth. And I think this is what really truly separates the top 1% of entrepreneurs and just high performers in general from the rest, right? So here's the thing, right? I'm about to give you the specific individual tactics, but the problem is most people think that in order to do those things, they need to feel good, right? So to do the tactics, to work 12 hours a day, to do the correct exercise protocol, the diet, the sleep routine, to start the focus strategies, to begin to limit their distractions, to do all the stuff that is a sign that you're firing on all cylinders, I have to be focused to work such long hours. I have to be in shape to hit the workout. I have to be healthy so I can eat right. The list goes on. The problem is that you're confusing inputs and outputs. You don't get in shape, then do the workouts, right? You don't start the work, then get focused. You're mixing up the inputs and the outputs. You hit the workout, then you get in shape. You begin the work, then you're focused. The greatest lie that you can tell yourself when you're trying to perform at a high level is that you first have to feel good in order to perform at a high level. No, you perform at a high level, then as a result, you feel good. You can't wait until you're in the mood to do something. You have to do it and then you get in the mood, right? Like, think about elite athletes. They don't just practice when they feel good, right? Like, they practice every day, no matter whether or not they feel good or not. If you're trying to be a high-performing entrepreneur, it's got to be the same thing. You can't just do the stuff when you feel like it. When you have the energy to do the workout is when you hit it. Again, don't confuse your inputs and outputs. You get energy by doing the workout. You get energy from doing the whatever it is, right? So very simple rule, very hard in application. Don't wait until you feel good to do the tactics I'm about to tell you. You have to do them so that you feel good. Again, very simple, very hard in application. Do them and you will feel good after. Don't feel good first and then do them, if that makes sense. So let's get into it. There are 3 high leverage areas that we need to focus on, right? Now, most people think about these things like a bodybuilder or athlete, but not as a high performing entrepreneur should. So I designed a much different protocol for myself when I was trying to focus on my business and when that was my priority than when gaining weight or something like that was, right? And I think you should too. So those 3 areas very simply are rest and recovery, fuel, and energy exertion. So I recognize that these are kind of the core structure for any health routine. But again, like as a mental performer, there are some key differences, right? Here are the things that we're trying to optimize for, right? We're trying to get immediate focus at the start of the day. We're trying to sustain that focus, energy, and drive throughout the day, and then have quick, easy, repeatable, high leverage actions for health. So this is sustained over a long period of time. Very simple. So let's start with rest and recovery, right? Over the 3 areas, this is where the most improvement can be made for almost anyone, right? As a mental performer, your brain is the moneymaker. So improving its performance is literally the highest ROI thing you can do. If you can make better decisions, if your brain can perform at a higher frequency, that's the highest leverage thing that we could do for your health. So what is the easiest domino that we can push over to give your brain the extra push that it needs? It's sleep. Very simply, that's the highest leverage thing you can do for your rest and recovery. So the 3 highest leverage sleep protocols, I like to call the 90% rule, the bedtime rule, and then some supplements and performance hackers that I want to talk about. To break these down, the 90% rule is very simple. The best way to improve your sleep is with consistency. So you have to pick a routine that you can stick to 9 out of 10 days. That might be waking up a little bit later than normal. If that means that you can hit it every single day, no matter what, over the long term, that is going to drastically improve your sleep. When you think about sleep optimization, there's 2 things, right? It's quantity and consistency. I understand where you're coming from. It's very hard to increase the quantity of sleep that you get. Sometimes that's just listen, man, I gotta work these hours. Like, it's just what it is. So what is the real thing that we can improve? That's consistency. That's sleeping at the same hours every single day so that your body and the circadian rhythm that you have continues to recognize the pattern of this is when we go to sleep, this is when we wake up. You'll get better sleep in those hours if you are consistent with it. So that's kind of the first thing, 90% rule. The second thing, the bedtime routine. Everyone talks about having a morning routine, right? Like once I wake up, I hit this, then I do this, I meditate, I ice bath, I whatever it is, then I work, blah, blah, blah. Everyone talks about the morning routine. No one ever really talks about having like a bedtime routine, a nighttime routine. But in many ways, that's the most important thing that you can do. One of my original mentors used to always say, tomorrow starts the night before. Like, to have a really good day today started the night before because I had a good night's sleep and I woke up and then I had a great day today. But that started the night before in what I did to get a good night's sleep, if that makes sense, right? So what are the strategies that we can do to implement a bedtime routine that help you wind down and have a good day tomorrow by ending the day today? Well, again, I'm sure you know the basics of blue light, of not eating. So certain things like that are very simple. Like you can ask ChatGPT, like, hey, how do I get better sleep tonight? A lot of this stuff is implementation. based and not information based, right? Like the information is out there. You know how to get better sleep. You can ask ChatGPT and look it up. But how do you actually implement it? Well, you got to have a bedtime routine. At this time is when you shut down and you stop work. And at this time is when you're in bed ready to go to sleep. If you can do those two things, that's going to help with your consistency. And it's going to help tomorrow because you have that bedtime routine to wake up and perform better tomorrow. Final thing, supplements and performance hackers for this kind of stuff. So from a very fundamental level, there's a million things that you can do to improve your sleep. You know, you could buy one of those cooling mattresses. You could do red light therapy, blah, 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 blah. Very simple, highest ROI thing you can do. Get magnesium glycinate and take it before you go to bed. You'll sleep better. Very simple. That's going to get you better sleep. That's going to improve your brain's focus and energy tomorrow. There's 1,000 things you could talk about if you want to, get the little hacks in. But number one thing, get magnesium glycinate, take it every day, and you'll sleep better. Okay, so next up, talking about fuel, right? Like now that we're waking up with more energy from improving our sleep, what is the highest leverage, easiest domino that we can push over to sustain that energy throughout the day? Well, that's the fuel you give your body, AKA the food that you eat. Got a picture of the food pyramid here. Don't follow that. But as far as what are the highest leverage things that we can do to improve the fuel, the food that we give ourselves, right? Well, the first thing is you want to eliminate the bad stuff, right? You want to remove the stuff that's giving you brain fog, that's taking away that energy. So rule number one, pretty much, if you're a high performing mental athlete, you got to take away carbs in the middle of the day. Like you can't be eating a big bowl of rice or pasta. You're just going to have brain fog. But again, from a very high level perspective, thinking about this from, again, an implementation based, I want to remove the bad things that give me brain fog. That's level one. Level two is kind of how do we sustain the high for longer? You do that with fasting, with timing your meals. And again, I do want to talk about some supplements you can use here. But back to that first point, right? Eliminating your brain fog by removing the bad things from your diet. One of the things that everyone likes to talk about with diet, and to be very transparent here, there is no right diet, but there's 1,000 things that work, right? But everyone, when they talk about diet, talks about the things that you need to add to your meals to make them better. I've always looked about it in the other way, right? How do I essentialize my diet into the core ingredients that I need? If I had to have 10 ingredients for the rest of my life, what would those ingredients be? I'd have eggs, I'd have salt, I'd have chicken, I've had ground beef, and then I would have, some butter. What are the essential things that I can eat that would be the highest ROI things? If you think about it from that level of what are the things that I can remove from my diet? You shouldn't be eating flour. You shouldn't be consuming vegetable oils. If you can do those three things, you're in the right lane. Trying to cut down on carbs is a big thing, especially if you're trying to focus more. But yeah, I would say those are the biggest things for diet. When it comes to fasting and timing your meals, I like to think about this, again, from a very just theory, deep understanding level. We perform better when we're hungry. You think better, you think clearer when you're hungry. From a very ancient perspective, right? When would we be most focused? When we're hunting, when we're out trying to get the food. If you can put your body in that, fight or flight response state by just fasting a little bit in the morning, maybe not eating until noon, the best work hours will be those hours when you're fasted. As soon as you eat, as soon as you take a big meal in, you're just going to notice that your focus goes down. And I'm sure that you've noticed this before as well. It's when you eat a big meal, you just naturally relax. Most of your body's energy goes towards digestion. You have less focus in your brain. So as far as performance hackers, when it comes to focus, I don't want to just say an obvious thing take a bunch of caffeine. If you're really trying to lock in, obviously that helps. But there are some specific supplements that I would recommend if you were really trying to focus that aren't the obvious ones. There's a really interesting drink that I've been taking called Magic Mind that has a bunch of different focus supplements. And I've taken them before individually, but it's really unique to take them all at once. I would say the highest leverage things you can do as far as the supplement space, if you're trying to focus better, would be lion's mane, L-theanine, cordyceps. There's some very unique supplements that you can look into if you're trying to focus, but I would stick to those three. They're the highest leverage ones that I've found. And so next up, I want to talk about kind of gaining energy by exerting it. So again, thinking about it very basic level. Now that we've improved our sleep, so we're waking up with more energy, we've improved our diet so that we're sustaining that energy throughout the day. How do we get an extra boost? How do we optimize it even more? What's the next biggest domino that we can add? I want to think about this from a mental athlete. How do I exercise to get more focus, to get more energy? And so as far as the three highest leverage things there, it's training with speed, with focus, with intent, a rule that I like to call being active and not sedentary, and then also just turning your brain off. So to go deep into these three, right? If you're really trying to work out for work's sake, the biggest thing that you want to do is work out quickly, with speed, with focus, with effort. A lot of people are what I like to call active yet sedentary, meaning that they sit in their chair for 14 hours and then they work out for an hour and then they go back and they sit in their chair for the rest of the day. That's not what you want to do, especially if you're trying to perform at a high level. It's you have to be active. You cannot just be working out for an hour, sitting back down for the rest of the day. You have to set timers for every 15 minutes to get up, stretch out, walk around, whatever it is. Maybe it's setting a step goal, hitting 10,000 steps a day. Whatever it is, you want to make sure you're not active yet sedentary, right? Going and hitting a long workout and then just sitting down for the rest of the day. Again, thinking about this from a very foundational level, the more you exert energy, the more energy that will be returned to you. Because if you're able to constantly get up and move, your body's going to be able to get more energy. You want to take breaks between work periods to get up, get outside, move around. This is probably one of the highest ROI things you can do for just your happiness in general, but also just to actively get more energy, you need to get out and move around. You got to get 10,000 steps a day. You can't just sit there, do a workout for an hour, and then sit back down and expect to get the same results if you were constantly moving around. Now, the final point I like to say is just literally turn your brain off. The biggest mistake that I think people make is when they're working out, they're trying to think about other things. When you're working out, you should just be working out. Don't bring your phone, don't bring your work with you. If that's the case and you need to work, just make the workout shorter. The biggest thing is that you don't want your brain to be focused on the work while you're working out. You'll see that when you turn off the work, you turn off your brain, you'll get the best ideas for your work. So if you're able to take a break, even if it's just for 30 minutes to do a good workout, I promise you the return from that compared to being on your phone, taking calls and stuff like that, it's an infinitely higher ROI thing to just let go, turn your brain off, stop working, hit a workout and come back and get into work. And it's better for your focus to just turn it off, throw it away, and not look at it. Okay, so I know I just threw a lot at you, but I actually have a question for you just because everyone is different, right? There's one single thing that matters more for you than anything else, right? For me, I really need to get exercise in throughout the day. I've got to have a workout or else I just can't focus. But what is it for you? What is that number one thing? Is it getting a good night's sleep? Is it eating a certain way? You want to make sure that you figure out what is your number one highest leverage habit and then make sure that that's your priority every single day. There's a million things that you can do for your health. Everyone is unique. Everyone has things that are better for them. What is the number one thing that you can do for your health, for your focus that is high leverage? Make sure you do that every single day. But here's another reality for you. To truly outperform every single entrepreneur, when it comes to focus and performance optimization, you have to obsess. You have to think about this day and night. It can't just be a halfway commitment where you're doing it 50% of the time or you're only focused on these certain habits. You got to be focused and obsessed over this. So it's kind of why I created this elite entrepreneur protocol. I want to work with someone one-on-one, put you through a detailed program, get it all done for you. That way you're locked in and you're able to perform better in your work. So yeah, if you're interested, you can DM me on Instagram or book a call with the link in the description. But this is for entrepreneurs that are focused on their performance, their optimization, especially when it comes to their health, and how do they put out better work by being healthier, being in better shape. I hope this video was helpful. If you're interested, again, Any questions, DM me. My Instagram's linked in the description. Peace.